H-Town Kick 713 coming with a new review today of the CP3 VIII Riverwalk Edition. So the CP3 VIII Riverwalk Edition kind of originally released around about November 5th, kind of in certain retailers, then eventually went out to all the other retailers out in the field. So let's go to a quick tail of the tape. It is coming in that standard Jordan black box. Nothing too fancy about that. Let's look at the official colorway of the shoe. It's a tropical teal, a fusion pink, black, and white. Originally retailing for about $130, and as of today, January 19th, 2015, you most likely can get this on sale, probably at $109 price range with a coupon code, maybe get just underneath $100. So if you're looking to get one and pick one up from the previous models last 2 months, so you should be able to get it at a discount. So if we look at this one, this is the Riverwalk Edition, which kind of commemorates the 1996 All-Star Game in San Antonio, Texas, which these colors are still prevailing today in that city. But the Riverwalk colorway edition, you know, with this colorway, you saw it in much of the Jordan line, the Jordan 1s, the 29s, the 4.5. And this colorway was predominant for a reason. Like you said, it is for the 1996 All-Star Game, but it was a build-up to a shoe that released, you know, in December 2014, the big build-up of the Legend Blue 11. So the Jordan 11 Retro 11, you know, this is the shoe that Michael Jordan wore in the 1996 All-Star Game in San Antonio. So that was kind of the culmination of all those shoes, colorways coming out for that build-up of that shoe. Now, this particular model comes with some unique technology features. One in particular, you know, they come with this one, we call it this no-sew construction kind of textile material. As we get a close-up look up at this, very durable. It's very durable and pliable. You know, it's not like the performance woven upper or like the Kobe 9, but you know, it kind of gives that feel to me about it. But one thing CP3 mentioned that this design pattern, says kind of mimics his design in his cars, his Jeep and Mercedes. So he had mentioned that in one interview. Also in the front portion, you know, they go into this synthetic overlay in the front, kind of fused up here. One thing about it, it is not breathable, and it's almost like waterproof. If you were to pour water on top of this, you know, it would just kind of fall off. So definitely not breathable in the front. And also, if we look here, and this is the lacing system, and they're calling this lacing system here where that fusion pink is, this kind of flight web system. You know, like I said, it's almost like dynamic flower, but not. But if we look on the inside of the shoe, it gets a good light. That's kind of goes all the way down, gives you that nice lockdown. So it is a very secure type fit on the shoe with the padding on the tongue. Very nice, and they come out with that CP3 logo there at the top, with the C, then the P on the top, and the 3 kind of in between in the black. One thing in the unique features too, I did mention in my other review, one is, you know, he's very family oriented, Chris Paul, and right on the top of the tongue, this is his family tree, and his mother and father there, and then there's Chris on the right side with his kids, wife, then his kids, then I think that's his brother on the left side. So like I said, he's very family oriented. You know, in one of my other reviews of the CP3 VII, he puts his kids' kind of names and birth dates, I believe, on the shank plate. Some other things is this TPU chassis that goes all the way along in this plastic type clear material. And as you see, it's interesting, it kind of changes grades as it protrudes to the front. There's the CP3 logo also in the front portion of the shoe. If you look at the back, where the kind of that heel lockdown with that kind of TPU chassis, there's the Jumpman logo. Also, watch another review that they had mentioned. If we look at that design here, this is kind of a checkered type design with the numbers of 3 there. It's kind of that checker to mimic a race car. We said, you know, we'll go a little bit why it kind of mimics the race car type theme. This is the side of the inner portion of the shoe. And let's talk about this color here. Indoors, kind of under yellow lighting, it actually looks darker. And actually, to me, that's its more natural color. Like here on the screen here, it may actually look darker. But if you look, I did it on feet, just for when it's on the outside, the sun, the natural lighting, it actually comes out much brighter. So it's a little more distinct. But I think the color that you're seeing on the video right now is kind of more of its true color when you're on the indoors under yellow lighting. And when we get to the on feet, you'll see that, you know, it kind of brightens up a little more when it's under natural sunlight. So we also continue on. We have the kind of the, you know, he has his heel kind of padding here to give you a little more lockdown. And of course, he's got the kind of the pull-up tab to put it in. And one thing I found too, you know, if for some reason the pull-up tab didn't work for you, or your shoe is a little small, you kind of can collapse that there, and it, you know, it'll go on the inner portion of the shoe. Maybe give some more padding on the lower portion of your heel. So I don't think it's designed that way, but actually that was by accident. So my overall thoughts of the shoe, you know, I was going to kind of go a little more detail about comparisons to the previous model. I have the CP3 VI and the 7, and I'll do a little comparisons with those as well. But one thing, I guess the unique portion of the shoe, which a lot of people, this is where a lot of comments and performance kind of come in, is with the traction. You know, a lot of people are going to give it kind of a mid-grade type traction. You know, as you would look at the, you know, it is reminiscent of the Mellow 11 that just came out. This kind of wave pattern here on the rear and on the fore portion of the shoe. Because I've got some of the herringbone and the pod type designs for better traction at those pod levels. The herringbone on the outer portion of the shoe. So if we look, actually, one thing about historically, like I said, Chris is a big family guy and why he's into cars. But if we look at the very front portion of the shoe, you see there's a bigger like V, which is actually a chevron symbol, you know, like the gas station. And this kind of goes back to his, if some of you don't remember, on the CP3 III, there was a chevron model that came out. And that's in honor of his granddad, his Nathaniel Jones was his name. It was one of the first African Americans in North Carolina to own a gas station. And stories report that Chris used to work there. He did various things in the gas station, cash registers, change oils, air filters. And that's where actually kind of his love of cars come from. And he likes to pay respects in this particular model to his granddad with that chevron model there up the front. It's always like those hints that Chris Paul does in his shoes. One thing I wanted to look at, if we look at some previous models, you know, this is the CP3 VI model here. One of the very comfortable models, and one of the things very different, actually probably the most different fit of the shoe compared to the CP3 VI and the 7 with the 8. It's very tight here on the fore portion of the shoe, forefront of the top. So you may want to think, if I get another shoe, I think about upsizing, see if that'll help any. But it's very tight up here in the front, where the previous models weren't as tight. The 6 actually was one of the best fits shoes I had in this color, very breathable. And one thing I didn't like about this particular model was the shoelace system. You know, it would actually buckle, like if you tighten it too much in the front or too much back, it'll be uneven. We kind of fixed this with the flight web system and balancing on the current version. But if we look at the traction on the 6 model here, this is one of the favorite tractions of people I've mentioned with this herringbone throughout. Now it is very pliable. It's not very pliable. Like if you were to go do this on a hard court surface, this material would wear out. But it was a favorite of many players on the court. So these are similar silhouettes. If we look at the 2 here, the 8 and the 6. Now, if we look a little more at the, if we look at the 7 that came out, this is the Christmas model here. I think a more bulky design. Still continuing on with that heel padding on the back. But one thing interesting with the traction, you know, he went with this. You know, they got the herringbone as well, but it's very more pod-like in design. So we got a combination of that. If you look at the pod levels, it's actually raised pretty much a little higher if we compare that to the current version, the 8. You know, Chris Paul still went with those pod modules, but if we look at the depth of it, it's not as high as the 7. And then, of course, we got zoom in the forefront portion of this shoe. We're seeing like a Lunon padding here in this rear with the pylon midsole for support and comfort. One thing he had mentioned, I believe, was this point here, Chris Paul, when he does his kind of his crossover step back move, puts a lot of pressure on the fore portion of the shoe on his right side, and that's what this point here is, why it's designed like this. Is when he does that move, he pushes pressure off that point. So that's what he mentioned throughout. So this is about it, guys. I'm going to do it on feet, and I'll take it from there. I appreciate you guys watching today, and you guys have a great day. Thank you.